I'm Xan Phillips, and welcome to Your Green Voice, the show in which we meet people with a solution for a better and cleaner planet. Now, if cyclists felt safer on the roads, they would travel further and more often. But the trouble is, our modern cities, the roads are just not safe enough. However, until that time comes, our next guests have an ideal solution. It's a beam of light that attaches to the back of bicycles or recumbents and offers a beacon of hope on a busy street. Here to tell us about Hightail are Brian McIntyre and Paul Costigan. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. I know you're both keen cyclists, but Brian, can you just explain to people what it's like to be a cyclist on the street at the moment?
It's very, very dangerous and confusing, and it does put off a lot of people to adopting to ride a bike in busy traffic. And we have been looking at a possible solution with Hightail that would alleviate some of that worry that cyclists have.
Yeah, and Paul, for yourself, I know you've got some stats about how many people are affected on the road at the moment. Can you give us an idea of...
Yeah, for sure. Well, the latest government figures, which are based on 2024 figures, came out September last year. In 2024, 82 people were killed. 82 cyclists were killed. 3,600 cyclists were seriously injured, and 10,600 cyclists had slight injury. So there's a big problem out there on the roads. And the majority of those injuries happen within 20 meters of a junction. So it's a visibility thing. And just going back to Brian's point on cyclists, you know, being a cyclist on the roads in the UK these days can be quite scary. They're supposed to give you a certain meter and a half distance, but you rarely get it. You don't always get it. And they go past you so quick. So, you know, some of the issues is basically down to, for me, a lack of understanding on both parts, because there are good cyclists, there are bad cyclists, there are good car drivers, there are bad car drivers, there are good lorry drivers, there are bad lorry drivers. So it's we're not saying it's one particular problem. It's a big issue for everybody. And we think Hightail will be part of the solution.
Well, let's get into the solution. I mean, I've got one of them here. I haven't switched it on yet.
Okay.
I think it's a fantastic bit of kit. I've seen this before.
Thank
when
you.
I first saw it, I thought this is a brilliant, brilliant solution. Can you explain how it is going to help cyclists and drivers in cars and lorries keep everyone protected?
For sure. So the basic premise of Hightail is be seen and be safe. Ryan and I have spent 10 years of our lives developing Hightail to what we see today. We've gone through a number of iterations to improve. And Brian, being the engineer, he improves on the improvement. So we got to the point where Hightail is now ready for production, and we're in production now. So Hightail is all about, as I said, be seen, be safe, and it's making sure the awareness of cyclists for everybody on the road, drivers, pedestrians, everybody. Hightail will say, I am here, you can see me.
And I know, Brian, this is, we'll get to the inspiration for this a little later on.
Okay.
But when you were cycling with Hightail on the back, did you feel safer?
Absolutely. It gives you an extra dimension in safety, because you've essentially got a stick of light behind you, higher than your head, so you're more visible in traffic than, say, a red light on the back and a white light on the front. That's the main advantage of it, that it encourages other users to see you very, very visibly. It is a long shard of fluorescent orange, yellow light that is very visible in traffic.
It's very obvious what everyone's going to call it. I mean, I called it a beam and a beacon. And this question has to be asked because was it watching Star Wars that inspired you? Okay. Or was there another incident where you thought this could actually help, or this other product could actually help solve cyclist problems on the streets?
Okay. I think life sometimes is a collection of coincidence. And I had two massive coincidences in developing this product. Being an engineer, I spent a lot of my time in North America, and I was visiting a very large open cast coal mine in Alberta, in Canada. But before they allowed you on site, they put a long fiberglass rod with a flashing light on the top and attach it to the bumper of your car, simply because the huge earth-moving equipment on site could go over the top of your car and not even see you. That was in the 80s. So years later, I thought, why don't we scale that down and stick it on the back of a bike? And that's when the moment began.
So that's your first coincidence or synchronicity. What was the second?
And the second one was when we thought of this idea to have a telescopic device behind the rider, how could we make one? So we decided to consult with a design agency, and purely by coincidence, we chose an agency that had already designed something similar. And you mentioned Star Wars. Well, they actually designed the lightsabre for Star Wars. And this then led to our design, which is a very much more engineered, accurate product with 6 telescopic sections against the original lightsaber that had 2 sections. So that was a coincidence, and the two tied together, fantastic.
And it's what's fascinating about it. We're sitting in this studio here, and I mean, I'm pretty sure if I extend this, it's going to get to you. Paul, can you extend your one just to show the viewer?
I can. So this is Hightail in its collapsed state. So this is what you can carry around with you. And then the beauty of Hightail is it's on a Morse taper. So this is an interference fit. So it will come up, and 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 it'll extend to 1.4 meters above you.
Can that reach me over here? Fantastic. Boink. That's brilliant.
So you have...
And that's on its low setting.
This is on the low setting.
Yes, because if you put it on its high setting, you'll sort of...
if you've got a high setting, it'll probably get camera burn at the moment.
Yes,
so
yes,
you're probably
yes.
seeing a white light. So to get the most of it, we'll put it on a low setting. So it's 3 settings off. And also, if you press the button for 2 or 3 seconds, you get a flashing mode.
That's amazing.
And the effect this has on drivers of vehicles on the road is incredible.
Yes.
It stands out so much, and it's so bright. And even I've had comments on my bike. People come up to me and say, wow, that's a good idea. I'm saying, thank you very much. Yes, it is. And it's just worked exactly how we thought it would. So we get fantastic comments. And the biggest comment we get from most people is, wow, that's a really simple idea.
Yes.
Well,
but why does it have to be so tall? I mean, we surely could just be head height.
Well, it's 1.4 meters for a couple of reasons. A, it goes above you, the rider on the bike, so you get 360 visibility above the rider. And also, one of the main reasons is it can be seen in PSVs and HTVs side mirrors, especially down the left-hand side of any PSVs and HTVs where a number of accidents occur because the lorry drivers just simply can't see the bikes and the cyclists down the left-hand side of their rigs.
So a PSV, just for those who don't know, is like a transit van, isn't it?
A PSV is a public service vehicle. Buses.
Buses.
Coaches.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah, and you raise a good point there, Dan, because in certain vans, when this Hightail is on your bike, it can be seen above vans. Oh. So in traffic, you can see the top of the yellow beacon flashing around. So that's another reason why it's that high.
It's also good for recumbents as well.
Oh, it is amazing for recumbents because recumbent riders are, again, that much more vulnerable because they're that lower down. And putting this on the back of the recumbent bike, wow, it is such a benefit to them. And we've had so much interest from recumbent users. It's scary, but it sits really well on a recumbent bike.
Yeah. Well, Brian, I mean, you're both involved in the design, but as a as a human being, as someone who likes touch and feel, this feels fantastic. And I think if this was the olden days and as my sword, I'd be like, this is like, well, it's like almost, I can almost go like, it's well and truly balanced. It feels really good. How much effort has gone into making this final product?
Okay. If I just switch it on, because I'm just fascinated by this, because we've made so many improvements over the 10 years. And this latest rendition, which is now in production, and in fact, Paul talking about the recumbents being a really good market for us. Our first order is being shipped to the US next week for a big recumbent distributor in California. Now, they've seen the advantage of putting this on recumbents. The main market for us is going to be the ordinary bike, especially the daily riders who ride to work every day. But in terms of the design, it's a really well-engineered product. The company that are making it for us in Littlehampton have worked with us tirelessly to do many, many different prototypes. And we've now got production tooling. And it's the accuracy and the feel of it that I just love handling it. And it's so well engineered to the fact that it's smooth movement up and down when you extend it. And it's easy enough as well to pop it into your bag and take it home. The recharging is easy because it's a rechargeable battery, long life rechargeable battery with a USB charging port, which is also waterproof, so you can take it in all weathers. And the switch itself gives you an indication of the charge. It turns from blue to red as the battery is depleted, and it finally flashes to tell you that it's time to charge it up. Battery life, you can get about 10 hours on full charge. So it's really good, durable, all weathers. The flashing part of it is also worthwhile mentioning. It flashes between 2 and 4 hertz, which is the regulation for a flashing light on a bicycle.
Now, one thing about the Hightail that I think is absolutely fascinating is the fact that it can extend, and it extends beautifully, as you say, locks into place. But what stops it collapsing when you go over a pothole or a speed bump or something similar?
Okay. There's an engineering term called a Morse taper, and anybody who's worked in engineering, worked a center lathe, for instance, you lock items in the chuck of a center lathe using a Morse taper. It's 2 tapers that when you pull them together, they lock on each other very, very tightly. So to make the taper lock, you pull the device out and it locks on the tapers. But it also means it's locked so it won't collapse when you hit a bump or if you're coming down the side of a mountain. And we've tested it. Very, very durable. That won't collapse, but it will if you turn it and break the lock. And that's the secret. It's the Morse taper that locks it and unlocks it.
And I think this is what makes it such a great product, because it's just a really simple solution using current engineering skills.
Correct.
But it just makes you smile.
Yes.
It just makes you happy.
It is.
Because it's just a wonderful solution. What exactly is pushing you both forward? I'll start with you, Paul. Because as you said, Brian said, it was 10 years. It's 10 years so far.
Yeah.
We're now 2026.
Absolutely.
What's pushing you forward as far as this is concerned?
What's pushing me personally is a couple of things. First and foremost, as you said, we put 10 years of hard work into this, and we think we've got a product that's going to do really, really well. And it will be a fantastic addition to cyclist toolkits in terms of safety. We've invested a lot of money into this. Brian and I have bootstrapped this to this point, so we kind of need to see a return on our investment. And as Brian rightly says, we spent the kids' inheritance. So they won't be happy unless we get a return on the investment. So, if we've put so much into it, personally, we've known each other for 35 years. And the last 10 years has been a roller coaster for us. Our friendship has kept us together. We've had ups and downs. The saying is never go into business with friends and families. Absolutely, someone should tell me that. But we did. But ultimately, we have the same goal. We believe in this product. We know what it can achieve, and we are going to make this a success.
Same question to you, Brian. What's keeping you going forward on this project? Because 10 years is and we're going to talk about the problems in a moment, but 10 years is a long stretch to get this finally in your hand.
It certainly is. I have to say it's flown by. Although it's 10 years, because we've been totally engrossed in getting this solution and getting it to market. We've also have tremendous positivity between the two of us, because if we wouldn't, we would have packed in years ago. You do get the negative people, especially when you're trying to raise funds. Oh. You can get lots of money provided you've got a viable product and you've got it and developed it, and you've got working prototypes, and you've got orders. But of course, in the real world, that doesn't happen. And investors normally don't want to invest in you if you're pre-revenue. They'll invest when you've got your orders and when you've got your customers and you've done the marketing. And that's the problem with startup businesses and people with good ideas. They fall in the wayside because of lack of investments. So we've decided to dip our hands in our pockets and take it from the kids for their inheritance. And it's been worthwhile. And we're hoping that as we get into business, we'll generate some funds to pay some of that back. But we're ready for market. We're out there. We've just done the NEC bike show, and we sold everything we took to the show. It flew off the shelves. So that's the encouragement as well, that people love it. And we've discovered subsectors for this product we never even thought of. So it is amazing. The response has been amazing. And that's what's encouraged us to keep going.
Well, you said when making Hightail, there were problems and potentially some issues. Can you give the viewer an idea of one of those problems? Maybe both of you can, but start with you, Brian. Something where you just thought this is small, but it's so frustrating.
Yes. When you develop something, and we went through the patent process as well, which was quite costly, but we've got patent protection in UK, in Europe. You have to make a prototype, and it has to be a working prototype, which means you give it to organizations who test it to destruction. And some of the early models, we discovered a design fault with it. And we didn't realize that when people put this on a bike and you fully extend it, it looks like a flagpole. So they would put flags on it. And on the early ones, which were thinner section plastics, the flag and the weight of the flag in the wind was snapping the top member because it was too thin. Especially the ones we sent to America for the prototypes for the recumbent company that's now ordered the production ones. And they come back and said, it's no good. It snaps. What you done to it? Oh, put a flag on it. Oh, it's not designed for a flag. Oh, I know that now. So we went back. So we've designed it for a flag. So we thickened up the sections. We completely redesigned the top end. So this will not snap when somebody puts a flag on it. And we now market flags, by the way, to go on the end of them. So that's an additional benefit that came out of the problem.
Amazing. It's so weird how people, when they have a new product, decide to take it that one step further. But well done for taking that on board and actually giving them a solution. I think that's brilliant. Yeah. Paul, what highlight or low light do you look at?
I think my input on this question is more to do with, and Brian's touched on, investment and support. We were lucky enough we did actually have some investment from Innovate UK, who supported us with a grant, which helped us get the prototypes into production, which was really good. But then again, after that, the support kind of stops. So in a way, they're saying, yeah, here's some funds to help you get to the prototype. We've got that. We've got potential. We know we can sell it to market. What else can we do after that? And it's that point we found really difficult for support, because as Brian said, there's so many people saying, yeah, we'll invest. But unless you've got revenue coming in, they're not interested. And it was really difficult. And my biggest frustration is I must have sent 700 emails to potential investors, and less than 5% even bothered to reply. You just get blanked. You do all the work on the pitch deck and, go through a number of iterations on pitch decks, because whoever you show a pitch deck to, someone will say, well, I would change that. And you're constantly updating to try and make it optimum for investors. And you send it out, and there's so much work in it, and you get nothing back. And it was really frustrating. But we walked past that, and it's like we just carried on. We know Hotel's going to be a success, and we have proven that.
So we've got this for bicycles and recumbents.
Yeah.
You also mentioned, Brian, at the show, there were sort of subsets of potential. I can imagine, would wheelchair users use something like this?
Absolutely. That's what we found. At the show, we had a young chap called Darren who we'd met before, and he is tireless. 4 years ago, he was on holiday with his mates, and as mates do, he dared somebody, or they dared him, to jump off a bridge into a river. Unfortunately, the river was only 12 foot deep, and Darren has now ended up in a wheelchair, but he's got a fantastic personality, and he's now set himself up full-time raising funds for charity. So he goes around Europe, he tows a tent behind him, and he's aware of all sorts of charities that he works tirelessly for. So we met him at the NEC bike show the year before last, and he said, can I have one of these on the back of my wheelchair? Of course you can. And he's all over social media. So Darren came to the show this year to help us understand. And being in a wheelchair with a high tail on the back of a wheelchair, there were other wheelchair users who were attracted because Darren's got this flashing stick on the back of his wheelchair. And we sold maybe a dozen high tails to wheelchair users because them seeing Darren. Now, that wasn't a market that we thought was a market for us. So it's a subsector. We've also found we were contacted by a young lady with MS who rides a device called a Scoozy, which is four-wheel scooter, but can go over very rough terrain. And she's seen this item on our website.
No, she's seen us on the TV interview we did.
Oh, the TV
She's seen us on
interview.
TV because we were interviewed by local TV stations.
That's right, Meridian TV.
And she picked them up from there, and she loved it. And she ordered one, and then she came back and said, "I need another two."
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
brilliant.
So
But that was-
mobility scooters and wheelchairs are two subsectors we never even thought of. Yeah.
Anything else, Paul, that you can see on the horizon?
Absolutely. I think we've got about 14 applications for hide cell, and obviously we're concentrating on the recumbents and the bicycles. But we have got an eye on the cargo bikes as well, because cargo bikes are very similar to recumbent. And we've got a couple down in Germany on a company called Carla Cargo who are trialing it. It's going really, really well. And interestingly enough, they've got a contract to supply Amazon in New York, and they've seen it and they love it. So hopefully we can get some inroads into that and get it flying around New York, which will be great. But yeah, it's unless we stop and focus on what we've got now, Xan, we will become busy fools and not achieve what we want to do. So we've learnt very recently, we just got to stop and just concentrate on what we've got right now, because if we constantly have ideas, will it fit on this? Well, yeah, of course it will. What we've got to do is this, and we're off on a tangent looking at something else, but we've got to come back and focus on what we've got right here, right now. But the possibilities are endless.
Like I said, I love the feel of this. It feels solid, it feels smooth. But equally, this bit of engineering that you've got here is fantastic. It's springy but tight, feels solid, goes in and out brilliantly. Is this bit how it attaches to the bicycle?
Yes, it is. What we wanted was a simple device that would lock it on the bicycle or tricycle or recumbent, and easy for people to lock it and use it. So we ended up with a bayonet fitting. Bit like where you put a light bulb in, you push it and turn it and it locks in. We've got that fitting on the bottom. And what we have got is a different attachment for the different bikes and trikes that they fit. This one's for a recumbent, and it's got different size bushes in because it goes on the back of the seat post. And Paul's going to show you what works for the ordinary bicycle fitting.
Yeah, but just before we get into that, just to touch a point on Brian's one is the different bushes in there. It will fit from 28 mil, 25 mil, down to 22 mil. Equally, if your recumbent, because that was designed for probably the top 10 sellers of recumbent bikes, if you've got a recumbent bike that has a different size, all we've got to do is let us know, and we can manufacture a bush to fit whatever you need. So we're quite flexible. So this is the luggage rack version. So same process, bayonet fitting, comes off, and that's it. So this stays on the bike. And you've got a luggage rack version. This sits onto the seat post of your bike. It's got a quick release switch on it. So you just tighten it around your seat post, lock it in position. This stays on your bike. And then the same process, in, down, and on. And that's it. Simple as that.
That's it. If this was Dragon's Den, I'd be investing immediately.
If this was Dragon's Den, I'd probably be a bit more nervous. But yeah, it's designed absolutely be seen and be safe.
Well, I think it'd be ideal for delivery drivers, pizza delivery drivers, especially
Absolutely.
because they seem to be in a world of their own. And
Absolutely.
And having driven around and almost hit a couple,
Yeah.
it would be fantastic for them to be
Yep.
not only have this, but be probably maybe more aware of what they're doing, but everyone else aware of them as well. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Well, Brian, Paul, thank you very much for joining us on Your Green Voice, and we wish you the best of luck with this product.
Thank you,
Hightail.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you very much.